We'll return to Star Trek following these messages.
Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon Listeners.
The Universal monsters are kind of just another set of icons to me. The Bride of Frankenstein, Creature from Black Lagoon, Frankenstein Monster, Dracula, the Wolfman, Invisible Man, and the Mummy. Approaching these monster characters intellectually is not such a different thing than the superheroes, except there's not really going to be an interpretation where I might bring to superheroes that are normally identified as drawings first, specifically because of these screen adaptations, because of those actors and the way they looked in portraying those roles.
If you're here at Word Balloon, it's because you like comics, creators, conversation, pop culture subjects. Would you consider joining the League of Word Balloon Listeners? Patreon.com/wordballoon. When you subscribe, you'll also be part of the Word Balloon Book Club, where Brian Michael Bendis and I will pick a comic every month to review and discuss live with the League on this show. Join the League today, patreon.com/wordballoon. Thank you always for your support, League of Word Balloon listeners. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. It's time again for another Trek Watch here on Word Balloon. It's a Trek read today because we're talking to two great writers who are at IDW, and they have a brand new Star Trek Voyager comic book. And I'm very excited to welcome Susan and Tilly Bridges to Word Balloon. Nice to talk to you both.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're excited to be here.
This is great. Is this your first pitch to IDW in the Trek world?
Sort of. This wasn't even actually a pitch. We were talking with Heather Antos, the head editor over there, and about some pitches that, we were thinking of sending in. And she had said that Paramount wanted to do something for Voyager for the 30th anniversary. So would we be interested in pitching for that? And we said, yes, of course. And so we sent in like 5 different pitches, and they picked one, and we workshopped it back and forth with everybody for like a month or two, and then off we went.
That's excellent. I'm bringing up the cover. The book is 2 weeks away, everybody. And again, IDW was kind enough to send me a preview of it. And I'm a big fan of, here we go, Star Trek Voyager Homecoming. And there's Janeway looking at Earth. And the action picks up right where Voyager Endgame ends. I don't want to spoil anything, but it really is like minutes later, right?
Yeah, that was our pitch was, you spent 7 years with these characters getting to love them, and then they get home, but you don't get to see them get home, and you don't get to see their reunions. And we're like, wouldn't it be neat if we could?
It's definitely a common thing from Voyager fans to hear that I wish we could have seen what happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was definitely a big part of it. But of course, we had to give them one more troublesome scenario.
Well, nothing ever goes to plan with Voyager, right? Everything goes wrong for them. So
course.
It wasn't going to be just easy. And you can't just have 5 issues of nothing but reunions. You need a story and some, conflict and an adversary. So a whole stories sort of sprang out of that.
Yeah, we discussed that too. Which adversary? Because let's face it, they made a lot of people mad out there.
They sure did.
Absolutely. No, I won't spoil, but people will be very pleased to see who the adversaries are in your story. But also, now, were you guys watching Voyager when it was in first run, or were you rerun people? How did you get to Voyager?
I mean, both. We
Okay.
watched it in the first run, and we've done multiple entire Star Trek watch throughs in release order. All 800 some hours, and then we did it all again. So
That was definitely one of our pandemic activities. So
Oh, I hear you. I so hear
during
you.
lockdown, we were just burning through Star Treks.
all
This
of
is
it
interesting. Go ahead.
in air date order. We did
Oh,
air
man.
date. Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's true because every now and then, and again, we'll show our Uber Trek knowledge. I know, like the production order sometimes was different than the air dates and everything. As
Yeah.
far as when they made stuff. David Beecher, who's already commented, he's like, "This is my first trip into the world of comics." Well, I think you're going to be happy, David, if you're a Trek fan. That's honestly, by the way, IDW pays me nothing, but I will be proud to say that honestly, I've really enjoyed so many of the comics that IDW has been putting out. I think Heather Antos is a great editor, and truly, Kelly and Lansing are buddies of mine. Chris Cantwell's a buddy of mine, and it's great to meet you as well because everybody's killing it and telling great original stories. I mean, in the case of Cantwell, he's got a whole new crew with red shirts and everything. But no, I love what everybody has done, and you guys are walking between the raindrops. I love that metaphor. You're staying within the lines and adding to canon without trampling on it and rewriting it in any way, and I appreciate that.
That's really tough to do too.
But also, it's a really fun challenge.
It is. It's a really fun thing, but you're also like, oh, well, this can't happen because this other thing happened later in this other show, so we can't do that. So, yeah, it's really like a great writing creative challenge to try to find the stories between the beats. Like, well, what if something happened right before they got home? We could fit a whole story in there. And
Absolutely. Yeah, no question. I and you'll forgive me because I don't mean to trample on your story, but I kept saying to friends, it's like they should have come to Earth mid-season and have it be a big sweeps moment of Voyager back on Earth. They knew they were, it was their last season anyway. And then, as you say, what happens after they're at Earth? And I had a whole scenario, and it's different from your first issue of somebody like Admiral Paris being like, all right, welcome back. That's great. Everybody take Maquis out for questioning. So they're going to be detained. Let's go to the Borg for experimentation. And Janeway, you got a lot to answer for. We count about 60 different violations of the Prime Directive while you were out gallivanting in the Delta Quadrant. And it's like, that would have been cool because I think they could have even done some of the same stories that we got in the back half, but it could have been in like a naval inquiry sort of format. And all right, can you explain what happened in case number 58? Yeah, that's when we were at Ventari 8. And here's what happened. So you'll forgive, like I said, you'll forgive my fanboy moment of if I were writing, that's what I would have done.
No, it's okay. We have those moments too.
And Star Trek
you get to really live it though now.
And Star Trek has a long tradition of courtroom episodes, so it would fit right in, right?
Long tradition of great courtroom episodes.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Drumhead is my all-time favorite, but even Court Martial back in the original series is truly one of my favorite episodes and everything. So, I'm with you.
Yeah, you've got Measure of a Man, and you've got Ad Astra Curaspera. Those were all like when they hit it on so good. It's like I never thought I would care for a legal drama, but if you put it in Starfleet, I'm all in.
Well, and that's why it was interesting, and we don't have to go into detail on last night's episode. Some of my viewers and listeners may have not seen it yet, but the question of what is Starfleet is the title and also the theme of the episode. And that question of is Starfleet exploration or is it a military organization? Let me ask you guys, how do you come on that debate?
I think personally, for me, it is absolutely an exploration force, but it is also a defense force. But I believe that comes secondary. Like, the Federation is all about all these different worlds and people coming together to work for a common goal and do things they couldn't do alone. And so I think part of that is defending each other and helping each other, in times of crisis. But I don't think they are a primarily military force.
But I also see the perspective of maybe an outsider saying, this looks to me a lot like you're just imposing your will on everyone. And so, yeah, I think it's a fair question to ask.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree it was a fun thing to explore. I think they definitely could have gone further with it, but it's not a bad thing to talk about.
Sure.
Well, I agree, and honestly, I always felt, and especially given when Star Trek was created, that it's militaristic, but only in the sense that like the Coast Guard is militaristic as well. And I always kind of saw Starfleet as a combination of the Coast Guard and the Peace Corps, and especially given that Kennedy era of when the Peace Corps was founded, that they're coming to these other planets and going, "Hey, we have these resources. We want to help you out. We're not here to," but I also understand, and that's the interesting thing about art is I appreciate other people going, "No, it's colonialism, and this is why." And it's like, yeah, I suppose that's, again, that's the great thing about art. Art is subjective. One man's colonialist is another man's, like I said, just trying to extend a helping hand.
Well, I think the difference for me between the two is that, like, the Federation will offer you help, and if you say no, they will listen to you. They will not impose their will. They will be like, okay,
right.
If you change your mind, let us know, and off they go to another planet. So,
yeah, mirror, mirror. That's what at the beginning of how, before they go to the parallel universe and everything. It's like, what if we say no? Then we walk away. It's good luck to you. That's okay.
Yeah.
But and that's why. But it is interesting. I love talking to other fans, and it's like, oh, come on, man! All Starfleet was doing was going from planet to planet looking for dilithium, and it's like, yeah, you got any? No, all right, the hell with it. And it's like, wow, man, that's a crass kind of attitude towards Starfleet, but okay. And again, they got the uniforms, they've got the military hierarchy, they got the weapons. So it was interesting. But anyway, back to your comic. This again, we're really presented with the problem as in that first issue. But I look forward to seeing how everybody feels being back in the Alpha Quadrant and everything. And and so will your story have that opportunity to get into and again what happened to Harry and his girlfriend Lily, and hell, what happened to Janeway's dog? Does Mark still have Janeway's dog?
I can tell you exclusively that Janeway's dog does make an appearance at some point.
Yay!
So you will find out. But they're not going to get home right away, but they are going to get home, and you are going to get to see those reunions. So they're there. Do not worry. We promise you. They're there.
Cool. That's cool. I've never sat down and read any of Heather, and damn it, I'm forgetting, not Antos, the Star Trek novelist that has done the post-Endgame Voyager books. And I just wonder, in general, did you stay away from that stuff? Have you read that stuff already?
We have not read them. I know that there was also an actual novel that was called Homecoming, which is also the title of our comic series. And this has nothing to do with that. We did not title the series. So the fact that these two things have the exact same title is not up to us. But that's what the title is. So
yeah, we are not familiar with those books.
Yeah,
good.
It's an entirely different story.
Yeah.
Do you almost, when you were writing this, did you obviously you're watching the show maybe to inform some plot points that you want to explore, but do you kind of stay away from other novels and stuff once you got the gig and you're like, yeah, all right, let's tell our own story here?
Yeah, absolutely. We just focused on we rewatched a few episodes just so that they were fresh in our mind, and we had as much data as possible that we needed for our particular story. But outside of that, we don't consult any other media or whatever. There's whole people in the editorial process that'll be like, wait a minute, we can't use X because they're in this Y book doing this thing at the same time. We're like, oh, cool. Thank you for letting us know, because Star Trek is so big. We couldn't keep track of it all. One person couldn't if we wanted to. So, yeah.
Are you a writing team in general? Have you always written together?
Yes, we are a writing team in all of our fiction writing. Yeah, we write together.
Yep, for TTRPGs and animation and comics and yeah.
That's cool. Forgive me. Tell me about some of your other work.
We consulted on season 2 of Star Trek Prodigy.
That's fantastic! Wow, that's great.
Yeah. And we wrote for season 2 of the new Monster High animated series. We're writing an episode for another animated show yet that is not out, so I don't know if we're allowed to say what it is.
No problem.
We've got 2 other graphic novels that are coming out. One should be out next year from Mad Cave. It's a queer YA rom-com. And
Cool.
we have another book that is out the year after in 2027 that has not been announced and nothing has been said, and we're not allowed to talk about it. We're very excited for it, though. It is with a big publisher, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun. So we've got all of that, and we just wrote and directed our first short film that's out to film festivals now. So we keep busy.
It's a little sci-fi.
It's a sci-fi. It's a sci-fi story.
Yeah.
That's excellent. All right, now I'm going to talk about Prodigy with you because, man, what a great show! And my friends, the Benson sisters, wrote on the first season.
Oh yeah,
Julie and Shauna. Do you know them? Forgive me for assuming that. Oh, that's great. Oh, they're good friends of mine.
Yeah.
So they'll vouch for me. but no, honestly, man, I've been trying to get the Habermans to come on and talk because, man, honestly, of all the new Trek, Prodigy gets it the best. And really, I thought after, you just have to get to know the characters. So I have to admit, it took about midway through the first season that I started warming up to the cast of characters. And then, my God, I mean, the second half of the first season was absolutely great. And the second season, damn. And of course, also great Voyager story as well.
Yeah.
With the search for Chakotay, redemption for Wesley, redemption for Okana, not Ocampa. That's Kestis. But I'm just it to me, and honestly, it even though it was written, I know, for Nickelodeon and everything, I got to be honest, you really needed to know your Star Trek to understand it, and I imagine it was made with the intent of, parents sitting down that were Star Trek fans and going, oh, they're talking about this with Chakotay. Well, let's watch this episode after we watch Prodigy, and this whole, fill in the blanks a little bit more. How do you guys see it? Yeah.
It was, I think, from working with the Hagemans and
who
Aaron
are lovely,
Wolfke. They're lovely people.
Just wonderful.
And everybody who worked on it, they were trying to, I think they approached it as, there's 800 hours of Star Trek. And if someone wants to get into Star Trek, how do you do that? What's the most accessible point? And like what you said, for that first half of the first season, it doesn't feel super Star Trek because they're sort of introducing you to the world. But by the time you get to that back half of that first season, it is the most pure Star Trek that we have had in years and years and years and years. And I always tell people that, if you don't know where to start with Star Trek, start with Prodigy. It is the most pure Trek that you are going to find. It's
and then season 2 has more of those deep cuts for the
fans
who've been there for a while. Definitely. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, we consulted on Zero, the character Zero.
Oh, man, what a great character. Absolutely. Please.
Yeah, they had that episode where Zero went to, I forget the name of the planet, but where they got an organic body, right? And so they came to us and they said, we feel like what we're planning to do with Zero over the course of the season has a lot of parallels to what trans people go through. And we want to be sure that we get that right and don't end up implying something that we aren't aware we're implying, and that's something, harmful or damaging, which is exactly what you should do. So they came to us and we got all of the season 2 scripts. We went through them. We looked over everything in there and gave them some notes on, let's tweak. Maybe you could tweak this a little bit. This thing is really good. Let's not say that thing for these reasons. And so they took all of that in and then readjusted the scripts. And I think Zero's arc came out so beautifully. And I've heard from a lot of other trans people that one episode especially meant a whole lot to them because they identified so strongly with it. And so that's what we were going for. So
that's great. No, honestly, and truly, again, to start with just the basics of a Medusan, which, again, for people who don't remember, TOS, is there no truth in beauty? And that's the little thing, much like Zero, kept in a box, and don't look at it, or you're going to go
mad.
Yeah, I know. With the great fisheye lens and everything. Spock, please. I can kind of do it on the. We can do it now. We can recreate it. So yeah, it was. That's such classic '60s TV. Oh, is he on LSD? He must be because his hands are huge. It's like, all right, relax.
It's so fun that they take this goofy character concept from the '60s and really just.
And they did something so beautiful.
Yeah, that's what's so much fun about playing in the Star Trek sandbox.
Yeah,
I absolutely agree. Do you have is Voyager obviously you read the story, but is that your favorite of all the Treks? Which is your favorite?
It's really hard to to say what my favorite is because they're like, I feel like they're all my children and I love them all in slightly different ways, right?
Sure.
But for me, I think like Next Gen will always have a special place in my heart because it was the one that I found first when I was a kid. Like I had seen TOS reruns, but the Next Gen was something that really grabbed me. And I had a really rough childhood, and it gave me like this warm family. But it felt like, like I've often said, in many ways, I call Captain Picard my space dad because I feel like he taught me more about how to be a good person, right, than anyone else in my life did. And so for that reason, Next Gen always has a very special place in my heart. But then also like Deep Space Nine was hugely important to me as a trans kid who didn't know she was trans. And Dax, the way I glommed onto her for reasons I couldn't understand, right? She was like this lifeline. So, and then you finally get to Voyager and you see the women can be captains too, right? And they can be, you can have multiple women on the show who have entirely different personalities. What? You didn't think you were allowed. And so it's all just, and there's things like that I love, like about every single Star Trek show. So it's so hard to pick a favorite.
Yeah.
Talk now.
I grew up with TNG for sure. And I like roped as many of my friends into it as possible. And and
what's that saying that you mentioned before about what it taught you?
It taught me how adults were supposed to talk to each other.
Like that you can disagree with each other but still be respectful, right? Because like our families did not really
we definitely bonded over that.
Yeah.
So but we met writing Star Trek fan fiction on the internet. That's how we met.
That's terrific. You know, I was going to, and you'll forgive me, the two of you, because truly I wasn't sure if you guys were of the same family or if you guys, it's a pseudonym and everything. And that's great.
We are married, yes.
Well, oh my God. Oh, I apologize. I assumed that you were, I didn't know you were a couple. Well, that's lovely. That's fantastic. That's great.
It surprised someone else at our signing we did at San Diego Comic-Con. They're like, so you two seem like you're really on the same page and you're working. We're like, we're married. And they're like, oh. So
that's great. No,
you don't always know these things, that's okay.
Well, and again, like I said, the Benson sisters, so I assume that you guys were siblings and everything. That's great though. That's even better. That's outstanding. So you were at San Diego. Was that your first San Diego?
Oh no, we have been many, many times.
You'll forgive me again.
Was the first time we got to sign at the IDW booth because we had a couple pages of, even though the comic's not out yet, IDW put out a little ash can with a few pages in it, and that was so cool.
People came by to get it signed, and somebody brought by like a Prodigy Blu-ray to have us sign that, which was really touching.
We were like, oh my goodness. What?
And the wildest thing was like up on the board where our names were listed for the signing, like right after us was George Takei. We're like, what is this world where we're signing at the same place as George Takei 1 hour before him? That is impossible.
Did you get to meet him?
No, we did not, unfortunately. They shoot us all out to shoot him in. So
have you met other cast members?
No, I don't think I have. I mean, I've seen some at conventions, but I don't think I've met any.
We were in the same room as Kate Mulgrew for like 2 minutes.
After San Diego in 2024. That's true. Yeah. We did not get to talk to her.
No, but because when we consulted for Prodigy, it was all over Zoom during like pandemic times. And so a friend of ours like squirreled us backstage to meet the Hagemans in person because we actually hadn't met them in person.
Right, we'd only had the Zoom.
And Kate Mulgrew was
Zoom, sure.
Like, oh my God, Kate Mulgrew's there. What?
But we are friends with Aaron McDonald, who is the science consultant for all of Star Trek, and had that cameo in Prodigy doing the temporal mechanics course for the Academy. Yes, so
yeah. That's cool.
She actually produced our short film.
Yes.
That's great. I luckily the conventions I go to have indulged me, and I've gotten to meet several cast members over the years and stuff, and interview them and moderate panels. It's so funny that that episode last night is Starfleet military or not. I asked Ethan Peck and Celia Rose Gooding on the panel, and it was great because Ethan's like, really you want to? And I'm like, hey man, there's no right or wrong answer. I just want your opinion. So, and he's with you, Susan. And he's like, no, they're explorers. And Celia, I think just to be cute, was like, I think it's military. And it's like, good for you. And I'm like, great. I'm like, good answer. But it was great. The audience said, ooh, when I asked the question, I'm like, really? I'm like, This is debate. This is like a hot topic. I'm sorry that I'm trampling on the third rail. All right, fine, whatever. So I'm
They're
with you
also
guys.
talented. The
But
casts are amazing.
Yes.
say it again. Who's amazing?
I said the casts are all amazing. They're so
Oh,
talented and wonderful.
Every frustration I might have with New Trek, the cast has nothing to do with it, and that includes Discovery that frustrated me most of all. But again, we don't have to go. There's good things to talk about with Star Trek. I'm happy to talk about the good things. So, but I'm with you. I was a first generation rerun kid with the original series. I started watching like in the early '70s, and no, every show has had its appeal, and it's great that every show is getting its kind of decade of, oh, you know something, it's better than we remember. And I think Deep Space Nine had that in the previous, in like, you know, the earlier 2010s. And now Voyager, thank God, with the 30th anniversary. And also, I think, you know, people aren't waiting for Enterprise. I think Enterprise is getting more respect now than it did certainly when it was running. Go ahead, Susan. Excuse me.
No, I didn't. Not me.
Oh.
Oh,
I feel like there was for a long time, not long like after Voyager ended, where there was this sort of, and it's the same thing that had happened with Deep Space Nine, where it was sort of treated like it wasn't that great, and it was the redheaded stepchild, you know. And Deep Space Nine had that reputation beforehand, and then I think the reputation for Deep Space Nine changed a little faster than Voyager, and I was still seeing like a lot of, you know, maybe not negative, but complaining about Voyager things over the years. And when they announced our book, we were really, really surprised and heartened to see how many people were so excited for it and really loved Voyager, because it feels like now it's you know, people are coming around on it, and more people have found it, you know, on streaming and have seen it. And so it's got a lot of great stuff to offer, and there's so much in there that we love. And so
and people like we didn't even know were big Voyager fans were like coming out of the woodwork, and they're like, "I'm so excited about your book," and I'm like, "Wow, really? Okay, cool."
again,
overwhelming.
Well, we've been jonesing for new stories, and I mean that's why it was great when, you know, certainly Jerry Ryan showed up in Picard, and even the brief cameo of Tim Russ in season 3 and everything was just great to see, and also Prodigy, and it's like, no, there's still plenty of story to be told, I think, and like I said, it's a shame that we had to wait for things like your guys' miniseries to really like, let's get back to these people, and what does happen to them after they come back, because they got. You know, and other than really Janeway and Chakotay, we really haven't even heard. Even Tuvok, we really haven't heard much about his story. And by the way, I love what you're doing. Right, seriously, Tuvok gets a lot of you know, panel time, if you will, from a comic book standpoint in the first issue of your story. But yeah, I'm excited to see where everybody is. And is that hard to balance everyone as far as giving them enough story for the miniseries?
Oh man!
You know, there's 8 main characters on the show, and there's only 20 pages in a comic, and so it is really, really hard to get everybody in there and get the right time. And there was some time in the first issue where we were like, "Wait a minute, we lost somebody for 7 pages. Where did they go? We got to find them and bring them back." And so, yeah, it's a definite tough balance. Like,
I mean, we were really sweating that first issue because it's like, you're not only having to, you know, have all those characters, but you have to introduce the concept of Voyager. So this can be friendly to people who haven't watched it in a long time or have never watched it.
Right. That's one of the things that Heather Antos approaches the whole line with, is she wants it to be accessible to everyone. And so we're like, we agree with that. We would like to show people what's so great about Star Trek and Voyager. So
you have to sum up all of Voyager
and the finale
and Voyager's finale.
And set up the new story.
And set up the story.
And introduce the whole world to people that don't know anything about it. So the first issue was really tough. But after that,
we were like really scared.
Sailing. So, but yeah, like the balance, like you were saying, is really tough. Like Tuvok is dealing with a lot through this series based on where the Endgame left him, you know, with his neurodegenerative disease.
Right.
And so, but one of the big things that we get to do is there's a real big difference between where Voyager leaves 7 and where we find her in Picard, right? She's an entirely different person almost. And so we get to sort of see what spurred that change in her, what set her along this other path. And so there's a lot with 7 that we get to do with that coming up. But in the first issue, you know, her role is really small. But in some of the other, you know, issues, her role is huge. And so it's a real balancing act, just trying to figure out where each person's particular story can fit in best with the story still moving along. Yeah.
God, I hope this hopefully prompts an ongoing for Voyager, because again, even
Well, we would
5
love
issues.
that, but that'll
Well,
depend
sure.
on sales. So please pick up the book.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, no, I was just going to say too that really you could really continue everybody's lives post Endgame and really get into all their individual lives and everything. And yeah, I would think 5 issues is tough to kind of compress it down into just 5 20-page stories.
Yeah, it was a challenge for sure.
And plus, you have to keep track of the baby.
Oh, right.
I was going to
Endgame
bring up,
left
yes, indeed.
Moral, who was literally just born. So when our book picks up, she's like an hour old. And so we have to track her all the time. Who's got Moral? Where did she go?
Where's the
Who's
baby?
watching her now?
Who's watching the baby?
Who can have her now? What are they doing? Who cannot have her now? And it was, yeah. We
Some of my writer.
with Heather.
Go ahead.
We joked with Heather and Cass, who is the assistant editor, that tracking the baby was so hard. We were all going to make T-shirts that said "Down with Babies," just because, But then they'd write stories about how the new Star Trek comic team hates children, and we don't want that. But it was all a joke. It was good fun, just for plot reasons.
Seriously, I can't. Again, living through the history of sitcoms, I can't tell you how many babies have killed. Story because so who's watching the baby? We can't be swinging on marrieds that are still having a fun social life because someone's got to stay home with the baby. Get smart, for God's sake.
Well, it was wild when we pitched it, because when we originally pitched, like, hey, what if we picked up right where Endgame stopped and we got to eventually see them get home with their families and see those reunions? Like, we hadn't seen the finale in a really long time. And so we didn't remember that Moral was literally just born, like she was just born, like not even a couple days ago. She was just, and so watching it again, we're like, oh no, what did we do to ourselves? We have to keep track of this baby. So, but it gave us some really great character moments.
It did.
So I think you will find those going forward, and that it allowed us to see a different side of some characters throughout the story. So
I have no doubt. Absolutely. No. And again, Tom's the least likely guy I'd want to be a father, at least where he's at right now, even though he's gotten more mature since the show started.
He has matured over the course of the show. Yeah.
That is,
and poor man. All right. Well, I shouldn't ask, Harry, poor Harry, an ensign for life. It's let's hope there's a promotion in your story.
One of the first things we asked when we pitched it is, can we promote Harry? And the answer sadly was no, because he has appeared elsewhere in stories that take place after our story, and he's still an ensign there. And so to keep continuity, we couldn't promote him. And we're just like, oh, poor Harry.
Right. Lower depths, right? Well, God bless you for trying. Absolutely. I'm sure Garrett Wong appreciates that if it gets through the ether and everything. So did you guys get a chance to go to Vegas?
No, we did not. It was too close to San Diego this year, and San Diego eats so much of your money and resources and energy. So yeah, we couldn't.
We
do
also
both.
had 2 major writing deadlines due
a week
immediately when we got
San
back.
Diego.
So yeah, we were just.
And one of those was the first draft of issue 5, the final issue of the Voyager's comic. So yeah.
So basically, we were zombie people for like a month. Like, we were just so tired.
Yeah.
But we got it all done.
We got it done.
We don't miss deadlines.
That's right.
No way.
Nah.
Are you pitching other are you pitching a Deep Space Nine story? You're pitching an Next Gen story, some of the other iterations?
We have other stories that we would definitely love to pitch and love to work for and write on. But I think right now, nobody quite knows what's happening with the Skydance merger. And so
everything's kind of on hold until that all shakes out.
Right. So we'll see. Hopefully, we could keep writing Star Trek until the day we die. So we would love to do that. So
it does impact the tie-in side of the IPs as well, as far as Skydance taking over. And that is that what you're saying, or you tell me?
You're not sure if it will.
I think it's more they don't know.
Right.
So,
because like even the person that okays things or their contact person might change. It's just all so up in the air because it just happened. So at this point, I don't know what is going on beyond the series that are going on right now. Beyond that, I'm not sure if they're figured out what that's going to look like yet. So got to let the dust settle first, I think. But hopefully we will be writing more of them after that.
Yeah, because Paramount would use all of the scripts as well. So it's not just IDW. IDW. So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, and you're right, and it's funny. I really have to think because I've had Greg Cox and like I was telling you guys off the air, guys like Keith and Michael Jan Friedman that are Star Trek novelists, but they were kind of in the old regime, and it was prior to Secret Hideout taking Trek over, and now again, as you say, with Skydance and everything, I wonder what's going to happen. But I mean, my God, I would imagine you also want to pitch novels as well, Star Trek novels, right?
Oh, I don't
Or maybe
know.
not. Oh, maybe
we haven't
not.
gotten that much into prose. We have a prose short story that got picked up into an anthology that'll be coming out later this year, but that's like the first bit of prose we've really done. Normally we do scripting, like comics, TV, animation, film.
Sure.
So
I want to do a book.
a Star Trek book?
Okay.
I don't know if I want it to be a
Okay.
Star Trek book, but I've been putting the pressure on Tilly that
You
we
have.
should write a book. 'cause
Well,
I
we
wanna
did our
write a
prose
book.
short story. We're dipping our toe into prose. It's okay. We're getting there. Maybe someday.
Maybe we can ease in with a cozy sci-fi novella. That's
Okay.
how I feel about it right now, and then we can see how it goes. You know?
The Doctor opens a photography store on Earth.
Oh
A
my
hollow
God.
photography shop, right?
That's
With a little camera.
adorable.
I like that.
would love
And
that.
he sings to your pets while he
All
photographs
right,
them.
now I want to pitch Star Trek cozy novellas. That would be fun.
I think that's good. I like that. Boy, it's a shame they stopped doing that Strange New Worlds short story anthology book. I don't know if you guys ever read any of those.
I don't
No.
think I did. I'll have to look for that.
Oh, they were fun. I don't know when it stopped, but I in the 90s and in the mid 2000s, yeah, every year they would come out and it would just be, fans submitting short stories and stuff. And yeah, they were a lot of
that's
fun.
fun.
And they hit everything. So it was pretty cool.
Mentioning the Doctor, that reminded me, like when you asked before if it was hard to fit all the characters into 20 pages, it was especially hard with the Doctor because he loves to talk and we love to let him talk and be the Doctor, but you cannot let him go full Doctor on a comic page because there's only so much room. And you need art and dialogues. We had to keep cutting his lines down.
Because after we started scripting, like we were supposed to be on another podcast and we were talking about a Voyager episode, and so we watched a Voyager episode. And then I was just like, look how many words they say, and we can't put them on the page.
There's only so much page real estate on a comic. So
many jokes had to be cut.
Yeah.
I'm so sad.
We got some in there, but yeah, it was hardest with the Doctor. We had to trim his lines back a lot because he loves to just go on, and I want to let him go on so bad, but we only have so much room, and there's 7 other characters.
Yeah.
Keeping it spoiler free, but I suppose I have to ask, given the amount of former Maquis that are on Voyager, are there repercussions in your story for any of those former Maquis? Again, keeping it in general terms.
Keeping it general, it does get addressed, but not in a very in-depth way. It just what happens with them lines up with what we had known happened with them. So according to what had been said in the universe, I'm trying to keep it as vague as possible. But something has already been released that says what happened with the Maquis crew, and so you will see that happen, but we don't go into it in an in-depth way. We focus more on the actual reunion parts with the characters to give them those moments with their families.
Because of our limited real estate.
Because of the limited real estate. Yeah, there's only so much.
I get it. Well, again, book 2. I'm sure there's some pissed off admirals like, wait a minute, those guys got off easy. Wait a minute. Let's again, time for another naval inquiry. Let's go.
There are a lot of bad admirals, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right?
Star Trek has a long history of bad
admirals.
Absolutely. Again, that's why I love the show. It's like every now and then I just rewatch the when it was martial law on Earth during Deep Space Nine, and Robert Foxworthy. I was going to say Richard Foxworthy. No, Robert Foxworthy was the admiral that was Cisco's captain when he was his first officer and everything. No, I love that stuff. You got to love a bad admiral. Even Peter Weller, of course, in Star Trek Into Darkness. Do you guys like the Kelvin movies?
I think they're okay.
I think they're fun.
I really like Beyond. That's my favorite of the 3, and I like the cast, most of the cast, a lot. But yeah, they're a little. I don't hate them. I like them, but I also feel there's something missing, just a little bit of something that makes it fully click with me. But Beyond was the one that I felt got closest. But I really like Chris Pine's Kirk.
I agree with you on that.
He's really good.
And Carl Urban, I mean, he's doing a DeForest Kelly imitation, but it works. I don't know. It killed me. And Zoe Saldana, the amount of agency she gives Uhura is fantastic. So
yeah,
there's good stuff about it. I like Zachary Quinto better on Heroes when he was Skylar, the bad guy on Heroes.
Oh wow, yeah.
So, but no, I hear you. Yeah, I really, and this is my concern about New Trek as well. Certainly the live action stuff. When you were saying there's something missing, and I agree with you, Tilly, about the movies, that there was almost an oversimplification, and it's missing that, to me, that really interesting sci-fi or even humanism, moral debate that I think a lot of great episodes of Trek have done over the years. So that's always my concern with the current crop of the live action writers. It like we were saying, last night's episode was an ambitious idea, but I don't think they executed it quite as well as they could have.
Yeah, Star Trek is great when it has moral dilemmas, right? Because it's like, especially when you have a really tough one, like that's one of the reasons I think so many people still talk about Tuvix, because the episode was such a great moral dilemma. There was no right answer, right? Janeway had to do something, and no matter what she did, it was going to be wrong in one way. And so I love that stuff. And so,
and the conversation about Tuvix has never stopped.
That's right. It shows
and it's been 30 years.
How good that was, right? So I love that stuff. And so, yeah,
I'm so with you.
She's got, Janeway's going to have a few moral dilemmas of her own in our book to deal with. So.
Okay. Well, that's all right.
Things we wanted to explore with her, because she's so determined, right, to get her crew home. But is there a line she won't cross to do it, or where is that line? What would she and won't she do to finally get them home? If the rug gets pulled out from under you at the last minute, how does that change things? Well, and do you still hold to your ideals, and why? What do those ideals mean to you? These are like the big sort of themes we're exploring with Janeway in there. So she's got a lot to go through.
Well, and can she operate under stricter, guidance, as opposed to being in the Delta Quadrant? Even after they made contact and stuff, it really was, hey, I can do whatever the hell I want. They're 70,000 light years away.
No bosses out here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it? Absolutely no. But I agree, and also I would imagine these hard decisions are part of her journey to becoming. Is she still Captain Janeway in your story, or is she? Has she already gotten her promotion that we know is coming?
She's still Captain through the whole story. This is their sort of final adventure together as a crew.
And you're threading the needle, between Endgame and really Nemesis, the next gen movie, when she is Admiral Janeway and everything.
Yeah. It's just a tiny little story that squeaks right in there. Because we also, when we were looking at Endgame again, when we were rewatching it right before we started outlining our story and scripting it, it was like, not only did you not get to see those reunions, but it felt like if this was the last time this crew was all together, it didn't feel like as a crew they got any kind of resolution to that, sort of. Like, it didn't feel like this was their last mission. It felt like, okay, they're going to go home and have more missions together, but that's not going to be the case, right? They're all going to get reassigned or whatever. Who knows if Voyager gets decommissioned or whatever happens to it. So we wanted to actually give them one last mission that felt like their last mission together, that they knew, they acknowledged this is the last time we might all be together, and just sort of explore that in the story too. So, yeah.
Very cool. No, excited. Well, again, excited to follow the rest of the story. This comes out 2 weeks from Wednesday. Past
September
Wednesday.
3rd is the first issue. Yeah,
September 3rd. Everybody, all right, there you go. So, Star Trek Voyager Homecoming coming your way from Tilly and Susan Bridges, and it's great to meet you both, and congratulations. It's a fantastic beginning to the story, and I think it's an area that a lot of us wondered, all right, what happens next, and especially not only as a crew, but individually to these people. So I'm glad you're covering all that. But way to go. Really nice to meet you both, and continued success.
And thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
My pleasure. Everybody, thanks a lot for watching and listening. And until next time, stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy.